When I finally get a seller on the phone, what do I say? And what am I supposed to be doing once I actually talk to them? This is a question I get all the time from people who are getting into real estate investment. Okay. When they jump in, the two questions are, how do I find deals? And what do I say to the people once I find them? And this video, we're going to talk about what that call not only should look like, but we're going to talk about what the seller's thinking, what your goals should be, and some ways to set yourself apart from everybody else. Okay. From everybody else. How do you make you unique when you're talking to the seller? This is going to be your ultimate guide to breaking down that seller call, what your goal should be, what you should say, and what the outcome should be here on this episode. Guys, again, my name is Ronald Walker. I'm the host here at Forge to Win. I'm excited you're here today. And the reason why I'm excited is I get this question more times than I can count over the last 10 years. Like, I wish I could even count. Okay, just so many times. So I have basically broken it down. I've got a number, 3 pages of notes here. And so if you guys want to strap in, you guys want to get ready, this is going to be the one for you. And if you guys get value, hit the like button, share this, hit the subscribe button for me, because this episode is going to be packed with value for you. So let's jump in. So to start off, when you're starting off with these calls, what is the number one thing you need to be aware of up front? The number one thing is you or whoever you have calling needs to be on their game. They need to be on their game, because right when someone calls you or you call them, you have but a few moments to capture their attention. And guys, attention is powerful. And if you can capture their attention and you can keep them, they will begin to be bought in from you. You see, the sales process starts from the moment you get on the phone. It starts even before you get on the phone. I want you to think back. Think back the last time you got a call, or the last time you called someone and like, hey, how are you today? What's going on? And you're like, dude, I got stuff to go on. Like, come on, man. Right? And you kind of get annoyed, right? Our sellers feel the same way. So if you're on your game, right? If you're doing direct mail, for instance, and you get an incoming call, hey, this is Ronald Walker with 131 Homebuyers. How are you today? Hey, I'm doing great. How can I help you? And you're on your game. You're right there. You might have talked to 100 people today, but they've only talked to you this one time. So number one thing is you want to be on your game, and you want to know where you're going. You want to know what your trajectory is and where you're leading them. And so there's a couple places you could lead them. One, you could lead them to, hey, I want to get out and I want to see this house in person. You can get to an in-person appointment, thinking, hey, once I'm in person, once I'm in front of them, I can close the deal. You could get to the point where you're trying to close the deal over the phone, or to a stopping point, so then you can underwrite it and call them back with an offer. You could be trying to close them on the phone right now, or you could just be trying to get them to open up to the possibility so you can follow up or pass them off to somebody else who's going to help close it. Whatever that end goal is, you need to have it in mind. Well, here's the other thing. When you talk to a seller, the moment, whether it's a cold call or whether it's them calling you from a piece, or whether they put their information in online and you're calling them from an online inquiry, it doesn't matter how cold or hot the lead is. The seller has goals too. And I don't know anybody who talks about this. Okay. The seller is testing the waters. Think of how many calls these sellers are getting in today's market. Think of how much competition is out there. How many postcards are they getting? They see one, they call it, and guess what they're doing? Is this somebody that I want to work with? Is this somebody that I want to work with? They call up, and within a few moments, they're trying to decide. And here's what they're going to do. There's 6 things the seller that I've identified that the seller is doing in the midst when they decide and are open to talk to you, whether it's a cold call, whether it's a call from direct mail, or whether it's from an internet lead. It doesn't matter what it is, or even a text message. Here's what they're trying to do. Number one, they are trying to get information from you, right? They're trying to get informed. They're curious. They want information. They're trying to pull information, right? And so they're wondering, is this going to work? And what is information? What can this guy do for me? is this a direction I really want to go? Or is this just, another one of those crazy calls? Number two is they want to distance themselves from feeling any sort of pressure. Okay. They do not want pressure. This is why people don't call salesmen or don't go to freaking the car dealerships. I don't want to be forced into anything. They want to make sure that when they call, they're getting information, but they're distancing themselves. There's a process that I talk about that we're not going to get into today. It's called RDRs, reactionary defense responses. Think of when you walked into the last store you went to and the salesperson came up, hey, can I help you with anything? No, I'm good. You might be there to buy something, but you don't want to be pressured, right? You don't want to be forced. And so when they're calling, they want to distance themselves. They want to put a barrier. They want, I'll see what my offer is. What they're doing is they just don't want to be dragged in emotionally and feel forced in the conversation. 3, they want to determine if what you have is what they want. They want to determine if what you have to offer, what your solution, what your process is something they want to be a part of. Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. But that's what they want to determine. They want to determine, is what this guy is offering, this cash, this selling, is this what I want? Right? Does this guy really help? Is he credible? Can he close? Is this going to be just easy for me? And they're determining that based on how that phone call goes. They're going to ask themselves, is it worth seeing you? They're going to ask themselves, will you help me? Will you help them? They're trying to figure all that out. And then the last one that I think we know, they're trying to ask themselves, do they want you to own their house? Do they want you to buy it? And this isn't about value. This is, do they like you? Do they like the person they're talking to? I would challenge you. Would you like you when you're talking on the phone? Are you robotic? Would you want to do that? If you turn around and sold one of your properties, would you be the person you'd want to sell it to? Or are you sentimental about it? Do you want it quick? What do you want? And if you can do that, and then you can turn around and provide that to them and realize they want to sell to people that they want to. And it's your goal to be on your game to be a person they want to sell that property to. So before we go into the outline of the call, which we're going to get to, back, I think this was 5 years ago, I hired my first acquisition coordinator. And when my first acquisition coordinator started jumping on the phone, he was super nervous, right? He didn't really know. He was this. And I remember the first time we're sitting in this building in downtown Dallas, and we're doing a training in one of the upstairs rooms, those open offices. And he gets on the phone. The guy's like, yeah, I'll sell, do this. And the guy's like, I'll sell for 140. And he's looking at the comps, and 140 is like a great deal on this house. He's like, awesome. Sounds good. I'll send the contract. And they hung up. And my guy's like, we got a deal. And I'm like, dude, that's amazing, but it's probably not going to go through. He's like, what do you mean? Like, he was ready to go. I was like, yeah, but the excitement that you did, he's probably feeling you missed something. Well, sure enough, we couldn't get back a hold of him. We tried and we tried and we tried and we tried. And I finally got a hold of him like 3 weeks later, and he'd sold to somebody else. And the reason why is there was this excitement. There was this, and he was just nervous, and he wanted to close his first deal. Well, here's the thing. On every call, an acquisition coordinator, you buying a property, if you're talking to sellers, there's some things that you need to be aware of before the sales process, right? This could go into whether you're buying creative financing. This could be buying wholesale. This could be buying traditional, okay? These are some things that are your responsibility when you jump into these calls, okay? Number one is to have a positive attitude. I've heard it said, attitude's half the battle. And isn't that true? When's the last time you woke up in the morning, you're like, gosh, man, I don't know what the heck. I got this going on, right? And we all have heard the phrase, like, nobody cares, right? But that's the reality, is nobody cares. Do you have a good attitude? Attitude is half the battle. The game is in the mind. And so if you can unplug from whatever you're going through, and you can turn around and replug and be focused on other people and bring a great attitude, guys, that is half the battle. So responsibility number one is having a good attitude. Responsibility number two is you want to be professional and courteous. You want to Present yourself not as robotic, but as professional. Not overly friendly, but professional. Hey, how can I help you? What's this look like? And you're sharp. You're bringing yourself to the table. You're put together, right? You know what you're talking about. You're not fumbling. You're not too excited. You have what I like to call an undercover fire. You know, some of the most successful guys, when you sit down, they might be excited, right? If you go watch The Last Dance with Michael Jordan, right? He's playing, he's doing this. He's not overly excited and he's not grumpy. He has a fire in his belly, and that fire provides the fuel for him to win. You want to have that same fire that's coming out, not a high-pitched voice, not a grumpy voice, but a, hey man, I'm here to win. I'm here to help you. I'm bringing a professionalism to the table. And then you're courteous, right? You're listening. You're this. You're not stepping on people's toes. You're not talking over them. You're letting them speak. You're asking questions. You're guiding the conversation, and you're being professional and courteous. Number 3 is that you are determining, like this is your responsibility, to determine what they need. And a lot of times, I like to say this is, I am not in the business of convincing anybody of anything anymore. This is not about convincing them to sell their home to you at a deep discount or to convincing them to sell their home on seller financing. This is determining what they need and sharing what you're willing to do and what's normal for you, right? Make everything normal and determine what they need. And you want to remove the roadblocks in front of them to get to their need. Think about that. You want to remove the roadblocks to help them accomplish their goal so you can walk them down a path that's most helpful for them. That's your goal. Your goal is to determine what they need for a long time. And even now, every now and again, sometimes when I'm not having the best day and I jump on a phone call, you know, we all make mistakes, right? It's hard when you talk, like sales is a game you constantly have to be on. You don't get any free passes. You're not famous when it comes to sales, okay? When you jump on, if you're not thinking about their needs, we can come across and just trying to force what we want. But I know that's not what we're looking to do. We're looking to help people. We're looking to provide them a solution and offer them value to make it easy for them to sell their property and to get out of these situations so they can get out and so we can make money. And so it's your job to determine their needs. The next thing is your responsibility is to get their name, get their email, and get their contact information, right? You need to get their information. If it's not already in the system, you need to get their information. If it's a referral, it's your responsibility to get their information. The next thing, and this is also, they get 15 phone calls from 15 different investors per week, and you're cold calling. You know what your goal is? Your goal is to get them to remember your name. And even better, if you can get them to put your name in their phone. Guys, that is your responsibility. If you are out here, you need to sell yourself and separate yourself from the crowd. If you want to get deals, if you want to make $30,000 in the next 30 days on one deal, which you absolutely can do, go to Forge to Win, okay? Go to ronaldwalker.com. I have a course that helps you get your first deal in your first month and 2 months. Follow the process. You can do it, but your goal is to separate yourself. Your goal is to get them to remember your name, to put it in their phone. So text them, right? Hey, I'm going to send you a text real quick. Hey, blah, get in their phone and then say your name over and over. Hey, write this down. You got a pen? Yeah, I got a pen. RONALDWALKER. That's my name, Ronald Walker. Okay. My phone number, 214-735, right? And then you just continue. And you go with it and you make it happen and you write it out. Okay. That is what you want to do. You want to sell them on who you are. The last thing you want to do, your responsibility, is to follow up. Follow up with them. After you're done, put them in a follow-up process. Guys, the millions in real estate, the millions are in the follow-up. They're not on the first contact. Very, 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 very small percentage. I think when you look at sales stats, 2% of people sell on the very first interaction. Okay. The very first. The fortune is in the follow-up. I've heard it said. The fortune is in the follow-up. So the next thing is, okay, Ronnie, you sold me. That's my responsibilities. But like, who am I going to talk to? Like, what does this look like? What are the situations? Here's what it is. There's only like 2 handfuls worth of types of calls you're going to interact with. Okay, when you're calling people, situations you're going to run into, whether you're cold calling or people are calling you. Okay, here's what they are. I'll list them off. One is the person calling or the one you're calling that they say, give me an offer. What's your offer? What's your offer? What's your offer? Okay, that's call number 1. You're going to call them up. What's your offer? You called me. They're going to call you. What's your offer? You sent me a postcard. It's all what's your offer. So that's call number 1. Call number 2 is, why are you reaching out to me? Right? Why did I get this? I'm not selling. What's going on? Why are you calling me? Is my house on the market? That's number 2. Number 3 is just a general kind of wishy-washy, right? Non-committal call. You know, what do you guys do? How can you guys help? Are you guys lowballing people? It's just kind of this general, no commitment. They're just kind of gaining information. They're not really looking to sell. It's just kind of general. The next one is what I like to call appraisal calls. Hey, what do you think my house is worth? And it's just a waste of time. What do you think it's worth? Oh, yeah, I just want to know what my house is worth. Can you help me? And it's just an appraisal call. They just want to know what their house is worth. Then there is the I'm not interested. Hey, no, I'm not interested. No, I'm not interested. Get off the phone. Why are you calling? Get off the phone. The next one is what I like to call dumb calls, which is unfortunately a reality that not a lot of people talk about. A dumb call is when you call somebody and they respond angrily towards you. They cuss at you, they freak out, they tell you you're a vulture. Every business has these. These are part of the business. You get them when you cold call and you get them when you get incoming messages. It's just a part of business that you have to do. It's just remove them and move on. The next call is the one we want. I am looking to sell my house. What can you guys do? I am looking to sell. This is what I'm thinking. I am looking to sell, right? When they say, yes, I am looking to sell, that's amazing. The next call you're going to get or you're going to talk to is someone who's another investor, right? Someone who's another investor that's in the business. You can still work with them and buy their house if you structure it right, but they know the game. They know what's going on. They're another investor, and you guys might be able to work together either on wholesaling them a deal, JVing, or some other thing, or even buying this property here, depending on what it looks like and what the numbers are. And then the 2 last ones is one, a contractor calls you about work. And the next one is someone related or working with the seller calls you on the calls, inquiring for them. Those are the types of people that you're going to talk to when you're reaching out to people in real estate investment. Guys, this is a business that rewards people who engage in conversation, who have a process, who have a goal, who are professional, who know what they're doing and they know the game. And so if you can go back and watch just those types of calls, write them down. Okay. And I'm going to get into later some of the things you can say to the different types of people. But today it's good to just know this is what's coming my way, whether I'm cold calling, whether I'm getting incoming messages, whether I'm talking to people that are putting their information in online. These are the types of people that you're going to talk to and the interactions you're going to have. So all of that said, all right, we've talked about your goals. We've talked about your responsibility. We talked about what the seller wanted, right? We talked about the types of calls that you're going to get when you're talking to sellers about their house. So now you're like, okay, Ronnie, come on, man, give me the meat. What does the call look like? Okay. What does the call look like? How do I separate myself from the competition? Here's what it looks like. Number 1, when you pick up the phone, you want to introduce yourself and you want to set the stage. You want to frame the call. Okay. When you frame the call, you put it in the trajectory that you want it. Hey, Mr. Seller, my name's Ronald Walker. How are you today? Awesome. Hey, just to let you know how these calls normally go, ... Then you set it. You can set it using 3 things. All right. This is what our goal is. Hey, at the end of this call, we're going to determine if we can work together. If we don't, that's okay. And you can tell them, give them an out. Let them know it's okay not to do business with you. Let them know the time frame and let them know what you're kind of generally going to be talking about. Okay? That's how you want to frame it. Hey, Mr. Seller, my name is Ronald Walker. How are you today? Awesome. Hey, on today's call, we're just going to kind of open up the conversation about your house. Our goal is to determine if it's a good fit for you to sell to us and if your house is a good fit for us to invest in. Usually these calls take anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. And if we decide we're not a good fit, that's totally okay. I can always recommend you to a realtor or somebody else, right? And it's super chill, but you frame the call. Then from there, you transition into learning about the home. As you're learning about the home, you get the address, you get the general stuff, and you're able to pull the house up on the computer and start researching it while they're sharing the information. You're taking notes. The next thing you want to run into is you want to dive into the motivation. Guys, when I started caring about motivation, the whole game changes. We're in the people solving business, right? We're in the problem solving business, right? We're in the problem solving business. So when you focus on their situation, what are you going through? What's going on? Hey, I'm just curious. Like, this seems like a pretty nice house in a pretty good area, or it seems like positive. Why are you thinking about selling? Like, what factors are causing you to want to sell? And then you want to dive into, in that motivation section, you want to go into Socratic questions. Okay. A Socratic question is a why question. Okay. It's, you must be telling me that for a reason. Why are you telling me that? When you say blank, what do you mean? It's whatever they say, you're grabbing that word and you're unpacking it. You're pulling it out. You're opening it up. And you're going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And you're sitting there. What's going on in this situation? When you say that, do you mean like your family's going through this? How would that feel? What are you really looking for? You know, if all of this was to wave a magic wand, you're to get what you want, what are you trying to accomplish? And you're just unpacking the scenario. Once you unpack the scenario, the next thing you want to move into is you want to move into what I like to call the rocks or the roadblocks. Okay. The roadblocks are the things that prevent a deal from happening between you and me. I learned this from another guy in another program I learned, but what it is there's often things that they're thinking about that they're not really going to bring up, that you have to address, that have to be addressed. Things like, why aren't they just hiring a realtor and putting it on the market? Why aren't they just continuing to rent the property out? Why would they sell to you rather than the other investors? What is their timeline on selling? Do they really want to sell now, or is there something else in the way? Hey, is there someone else that you need to talk to in order to get this deal done? These are all roadblocks and things that block the path from you doing a deal, and they're in the back of your mind. These things need to be brought to the table, because otherwise, when you get to the close, it's going to be like, I have to think about it. I got to deal with blank. I got to deal with blank. I got to deal with blank. But if you can remove these out of the way, or you can at least talk about them, you'll know that you can come back to the table and talk about them later, or you can solve them right now, which is absolutely incredible. I can't tell you guys. When I was in Muskegon, I was walking this house that we're flipping, and I'm walking around and I'm talking to this guy, and they're in foreclosure. Okay. It's actually the first foreclosure I've done in 5 years. Okay. Just recently. And I'm like, hey man, like what's really going on? Like, why not put this on the market and like sell this on the market? Like, I'm not sure. And he hadn't come out that he was in foreclosure. He just kind of the different situations and family. I was like, why not? He's like, I have to be closed in 3 weeks. I was like, why? Like, what's going on? And that's when he's like, let me just tell you straight. And he came out, but that came because I brought up a potential roadblock. Even in the motivation, he skimmed over it. He didn't quite trust me yet. But once I started being like, dude, why are you doing this? Like, are you sure this is good for you? It comes across as you caring about them and making sure this is a good solution. And you're not just jumping to the close. So remove those roadblocks. Then the last thing is set up your next step, whether that's closing, whether that's setting an appointment, whether that's going in person, whatever that is, set that next step. Is it, hey, I'm going to do some underwriting and I'll call you back with an offer? You want to close them on whatever the next step is. Okay. When you close them, before you do, you want to summarize everything you've talked about and show them how you're going to add value. And when you're closing them on that next step, a lot of guys that I've trained, let me put it this way. They get to that and they don't paint a picture past. It's like a void past the closing, right? We're going to sign this paperwork. All right, cool. Thanks. And they're like, oh man, what's next? Like, you want to frame the next interactions. You want to frame what it's going to look like after this happens. Okay, hey, if we sign the paperwork, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to take the paperwork. I'm going to forward it to the title company. I'm going to send the deposit to them. From there, they're going to reach out to you here in the next 3 days. And then I'm going to call you and I'm going to want to get into the house just 3 or 4 times before then, just to make sure everything's what we talked about. Does that sound good? What's your schedule look like? Oh, it looks like 1, 2, 3. And then you can circle back to the close. Guys, this is a ninja move for you guys if you're trying to win and you're trying to make it happen out there. Remember, you're trying to close them on the next step. And whenever you close them, the next thing, lock them down. Get them to commit, right? A lot of times when people say yes, whether they feel pressured or not, you never know. You never know if they feel pressured. But lock them down. Hey, do you have any concerns? Is there anything we missed? Hey, if this comes up, are you sure this is good for you? Why is this good for you? And you want to reinforce why you guys are working together, whether it's coming out to them on appointment, whether it's signing a contract, whether it's just the first stages in a due diligence process. Whatever that is, you want to lock them in. And you lock them in by getting them to tell you why this is good for them. So guys, this is what the calls are. This is what their goals are. This is what your responsibilities are. You need to be on your game. When you are going through this process, you want to be on your game. You want to be on your game. You know, I was at Chase Bank a number of years ago before I got into real estate investment. And my manager used to say, you know how you can get people to invest money with you? It's like, how? He's like, you want to spend 90% of your time listening to them. He's like, but you know what listening, where it starts? It starts the moment they walk in the door before they even see it. Is your attention on them? Are you professional? Are you knowledgeable? Are you going to go above and beyond? Do you take responsibility? Do you guide them? Are you a leader? Not in the sense of, oh, I'm this huge leader, but do you lead them? Hey, let me show you how this works. And you lead them down the path that you want. You need to be there and you need to be professional and you need to show up. You need to know your game, like what we talked about at the beginning. And guys, if you know your game, if I'm on my game, then you know what? People want to work with us. People want to do business. People want to sell. People want it convenient. We live in an age of convenience. But there's also a lot of people out there who are bottom of the barrel, doing the bare minimum. All you got to do is do a little bit more. And if you do, the floodgates will open up. So here's the process, and we'll end with this. Remember, you want to frame the conversation. You want to get the facts on the property. You want to dive into motivation. You want to remove roadblocks, and you want to frame the next stage, whatever that's going to be, in the direction you're trying to accomplish through a commitment. Those are the things you want to do on every single call that you talk to, every single seller that you talk to. You want to move them along this path. And if you do it right, you will be rewarded in the marketplace. You will be rewarded with deals that make you $5, $10, $15, $20,000, and doing multiple of them, you will cross that mark of financial freedom that I know you guys are at. So if you guys found this valuable, please subscribe to the channel, like it, share it with some friends, and guys, go back and listen to the different sections because this will help you win and succeed. This is the ultimate guide of talking to a seller. Peace.